Right now, the Colorado Supreme Court is reviewing Denver Public Schools' safety plan and whether it violates the students' constitutional rights.
9 News legal analyst Whitney Traylor joins us in studio now to break down the case a little bit more for us. Whitney, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, let's get down to business.
Okay, yeah, first off, let's start with what is the legal issue that's at the center of this case?
Well, it's an interesting legal issue, and it's fairly specific, but it does shape our law. And this is what's really interesting about these cases is because this is a common law system, and so we have a common law system. So as the courts make rulings on specific facts, that applies to everybody. And so here we're looking at the scope of a search that the school can perform when there's no reasonable suspicion of a crime. And so here it's really dealing with your Fourth Amendment rights, which we have this right to not be searched, unless there's certain circumstances. In school, you have less privacy rights. You don't have the same reasonable expectation of privacy that we do on our everyday lives. And so the question is really, what was the school allowed to do in terms of their safety plans as they searched the kids' their bags, what kind of notice they needed to give them.
How did this case make it to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, so it's an interesting case. So there was a student at Kennedy High who had essentially been deemed delinquent, their sort of form of a criminal punishment, if you will. And so he was put on a safety plan. And so as part of his safety plan, he wasn't allowed to have backpacks, but he was also, they were allowed to search him. And so the school year ended. When he started back at the school year, they didn't have a reentry plan. And so the real question was his previous safety plan still in effect? So the third day of school, the first 2 days they didn't search him. The third day they did search his bag and found these weapons. And so now, they went through the trial and the appeal, and the appeals court ruled in favor of the school, saying that they could do that. And now the Supreme Court is hearing it and deciding, hey, do they have to give notice, or was that previous safety plan sufficient and still in place? And the way the justices were asking questions, I think they're leaning towards ruling in favor of the school.
And what are some possible outcomes that we could see from this case?
Right, so that would be one, is if the court agreed, then that safety plan would be deemed constitutional and it would go forward as is. They could reverse it though and say, no, this plan isn't constitutional, and then DPS would have to go and make some adjustments to its plan. But one of the issues is when you go to court, when you go to an appeals court, they can remand it. So they can reverse and remand, meaning send it back down. So they could send it back down, but this student, it was 2019, so the time has already passed. So really what we're looking at is the court making a decision and sort of defining this scope of what the schools can do with regard to their safety plans, what kind of notice the students have, and what expectation of privacy they have.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out of it for sure.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving plans?
Thanksgiving plans. Hopefully I'll be, somebody will bring me a plate and I'll be relaxing by myself at home.
Well, word on the street, Whitney, is that Corey and Ed Green make a mean turkey. So.
Well,
two.
I need the addresses.
All right, you got it, Fred.
Whitney, thank you.